Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you, Phyllis, and thank you, colleagues, for the opportunity to present to you today. My name is Mphumuzi Sukati, and I'm a Senior Nutrition and Food Systems Officer at FAO. With all protocols observed, I will kindly like to share my screen, the presentation. I hope it will come. Can you see the screen kindly? Can someone confirm?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me try to put it on. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the topic that we were given, like what FAO does in Africa for nutrition, I was thinking it's best because we are doing a lot of work around this area. It's just a lot of work. You know, nutrition is mainstream in a lot of programs: climate change, the livestock, fisheries, water programs, you name it. So, but I thought to probably give a very good overview of what we do specifically for nutrition, I'll just give the presentation from a strategic point of view. So to start off the presentation, I think we are familiar with these figures, so I will not spend a lot of time on them. You know, the problems of malnutrition that we are facing in the continent, and also issues of stunting, wasting, and now we have an increasing problem of overweight or obesity. So the continent is suffering from the triple burden of malnutrition. So the numbers speak for themselves there, and we are in trouble as a continent unless catalytic actions are taken. So what are the nutrition entry points that we can think of when we are supporting countries? So the nutrition issues, there are so many issues that are affecting nutrition: psychological status, hygiene, education, gender, the general health of the population, age, etc. So there are many factors that are influencing good nutrition. So this is all the concept of probably anthropogenic issues, and also issues to do with the food systems in general. So what we have here? So what are the issues that are promoting healthy diets? I think we are aware of this. This is just the food systems approach. We have the food supply chains, we have your production, storage, distribution, processing, etc. And then the food environment. I think the colleagues that came before me, they talked a lot about the food environment, especially in the aspects of the urban food systems. And of course, consumer behavior that affects the diets that we have at household level. So at FAO, for example, this year we produced an FAO strategy for nutrition that will go up to 2025. So it's there. It will form a key basis of my presentation. So what is the mission of FAO in nutrition? So our mission is clear. It is to tackle malnutrition in all its forms by accelerating impactful policies and actions across the agri-food systems to enable healthy diets for all. So there is a critical issue of inclusivity there for all. It's very important. So this is the mission. What is the vision? Our vision, of course, is to have a world where all the people are eating healthy diets from sustainable, inclusive, and resilient agri-food systems. So this is tied very much onto the Sustainable Development Goal number 2. But as we are pursuing the Sustainable Development number 2, we need to make sure that we are not threatening the other sustainable developments, the other Sustainable Development Goals. It will not be sustainable for people to have healthy diets whereby this approach probably is harming the environment, for example. So what are the pathways that we approach our work? So there are about 5 areas that inform our work. The first area is using data for impact. I think a lot of issues to do with data came out also in the previous presentation. It is a very strong focus area for our work as well as FAO. And then using that data to produce evidence for interventions. And then from those evidence, we come up with catalytical actions to do with policy, also to do with policy and influencing political will at national level and engaging stakeholders and building partnerships and collaboration. And then also building capacity, especially training materials, building capacity of the vulnerable at country level. It's extremely important, but based on the evidence. Once we produce the evidence, we know how to intervene, where are the hotspots, and then what can we do? Building capacity is a strong area of our work. And then, of course, strengthening commitments to the international agreements, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Malabo, the International Decade of Actions, etc. And of course, the overall nutrition governance structures. So those are the SDGs there. So this is what we do. What do we mean by when we are saying we are using data for impact? For example, we have worked a lot with countries like Zambia and Ethiopia to promote the minimum dietary diversity score for women, and we've been working a lot with the African Union to try to make sure that this minimum dietary diversity score is part of the Malabo commitments, and it is tracked on its performance. It's a very strong area of our work here. It's just an example. There are so many other indicators that we are tracking, including the food insecurity experience scale, the prevalence of undernourishment, etc. And then also, what do we do with all this data that we produce? We compile it in flagship publications. For example, we have the State of Food and Nutrition Insecurity in the World, which we publish with other stakeholders, including WHO, WFP, UNICEF, and the other UN agencies, including the African Union. We have a global State of Food and Nutrition Security. We also have a tailor-made regional one that is of Africa, which is shown there in that picture there, which support also the CADAP. For example, we are working a lot with the Comprehensive Agricultural Investment, the Agricultural Development Program through the national and regional the agricultural investment plans to mainstream nutrition and to track nutrition indicators, and of course, building capacity and strengthening commitments. We are very active in all these commemoration, the important days of the African Union, including the Africa Day of School Feeding and Nutrition, the Africa Day of Food and Nutrition Security, which we recently commemorated, I think last week, where FAO provides strong support, and of course, the CADAP private the CADAP private partnership platforms where we give strong support. So in order to do all this, it is very critical that we have strong accountability framework and implementation plans. That this is extremely important to make sure that we have strong M&Es, monitoring and evaluation in place. So of course we are guided by the African Union. We are guided by the Sustainable Development Goals. Our strategic orientation, this from 2020 to 2025, not only for nutrition, but the FAO overall corporate strategic framework is based on 4 betters. We call them 4 betters: better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better lives. So it encompasses the whole food systems with a very strong lens on nutrition. So better lives, we are talking of social protection, better environment, your resilience, the urban food systems to be sustainable, better nutrition, of course, focusing on nutrition-specific actions like the school gardens, diversifying production, And of course, better production that is linked to all these, production that doesn't threaten the environment while making sure that it is sustainable, it is inclusive, it diversify production. So there are so many cross-cutting issues here: gender, youth, the inclusivity issues to make sure that we leave no one behind. And of course, we use a lot of accelerators. A lot of colleagues before me have talked about these accelerators, technology, innovation. Data itself is an accelerator, complements and building synergies and partnerships, resources mobilization, etc. So I have said this, I have touched this when I was talking about the four betas and the accelerators. So there are so many programs we are looking at here under this, these approaches, like for green innovation, blue transformation. One Health is also critical. I think the One Health aspects came very, very strong in recent years because of the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic, focusing on smallholder farmers, digital agriculture, and then the healthy diets. We're reducing food loss and waste, transparent trade in markets. We know that, for example, that the African Union has a big program on African free trade area. We need to make sure that we ride on all these to make sure that African continental free trade area is reducing post-harvest loss, is making sure that commodities are finding markets, increasing household income, and also not harming the small producers. And also the climate change and the sustainability issues and all the issues that I talked about for inclusivity, gender, and building resilient food systems. And we also have a specific program called the Hand in Hand Initiative. That is a flagship program which is using evidence for our intervention at country level. So this is what I explained in my previous slides in another way: the data, the evidence, policy, capacity, and commitments. We need to be aware that all these actions are not mutually exclusive. They work as a chain and they feed into each other. This is very important to understand, which is probably what is the slide is trying to say, the wheels. That is, it's a process. Every section depends on the other section, so they work in tandem. So these are just the sustainable development goals that guide our work, and then the four betas that I talked about. So I will request that if colleagues are thinking what FAO is doing, for example, our work and also our work on nutrition, please don't forget that our work is on four pillars, the four betas: better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. So we mainstream a lot of projects around those betas. So we are happy as nutrition colleagues that at least the better nutrition has come out as a standalone pillar, which previously you could find that better nutrition is mainstreamed in all the other pillars, but it doesn't come out and stand alone on its own. This is just what I was trying to explain. So at the regional level here at RAF, the Regional Office for Africa, FAO, we have we prioritized our work in certain programmatic areas. Under better production, we have a program that's specifically focusing on small island developing states. I think the small island developing states, they deserve as a unique lens because of their uniqueness, of course. Like we know that, for example, islands like Seychelles, these are high-income islands. They are high-income islands because their main comparative advantage is on tourism. And they use that income from tourism to acquire food. So they deserve, because they are vulnerable in that way, because for example, the COVID-19 that has reduced traveling, it has really had a very big impact on their economies. It's just an example. There are other unique examples as well, the landlocked countries, etc. But the small island developing states, they deserve a special focus. So we also have animal production systems and the One Health. We know the importance of the One Health, the zoonotic diseases, which are extremely important in health, in human health and nutrition as well. So there's a lot of speculation that probably the COVID-19 originated from an animal. There are so many zoonotic diseases that we target: tuberculosis, salmonellosis, you name it. And then the crop production, of course, which is also linked to the livestock, and of course the fisheries and aquaculture. What do we do for nutrition and better production? Diversified sustainable production, nutrition sensitive livestock and fisheries programs. You can also come up with production whereby you focus on biofortification, production technologies in urban and peri-urban areas. I think Solofina has talked a lot about this, and other colleagues before me. And of course, looking at this idea of short value chain, looking at niche commodities and local sourcing, which is also important for the small island developing states. Even though the small island developing states do not have enough land mass, they can play a critical role because they can focus on certain niche commodities that they can produce locally and probably stop relying a lot on imports. So the better nutrition, this is where our nutrition experts, this is the chunk of our work now. Our programs are probably in making nutritious food safe, available, and accessible. I like the idea of making the food safe, you know, because it has the link of food safety and nutrition, which we are trying to bridge the gap a lot. Policies and institutions and investments for agri-food systems transformation, trade and market opportunities for inclusive growth, and agribusiness and resilient agri-food systems. So these are the programmatic areas under the better nutrition. So you can see that we are looking at trade and market opportunities in the lens of this initiative playing a big role in promoting better nutrition in the continent. So what actions can we think of, or we are thinking of? Food price policies for promoting healthy diets. We can probably think of we can probably think of subsidizing certain nutritious foods so that they are produced at a lower cost. We are looking at issues of promoting indigenous food systems, and all this idea of nutrition sensitive value chains, being intentional about food loss and waste, and the food management in general, and food quality and safety and hygiene, and the general food environment. I can quote an example here whereby we've been doing a lot of work with urban food systems, whereby we are building capacity of informal food traders. We are building capacity of informal food traders. We had a project in Accra and Dar es Salaam, whereby we were just targeting the informal food traders, especially the women, building their capacity so that they are able to to sell food of the right quality, food safety. Then the trade for nutrition, I have talked about this. And of course, being intentional about the marketing and advertising and messaging, the advocacy. In this area, we are talking about issues of food-based dietary guidelines, for example, to probably help change consumer perceptions. Food labeling, it also goes hand in hand with the advertising. People should know what they are eating, what are the caloric intake, the nutritional value of what they are eating. And of course, women empowerment also plays a role here. And then under the better environment, we have a program on scaling up climate smart agriculture, ecosystem restoration and sustainable land management, sustainable use of biodiversity, and responsible governance of natural resources. I think the governance is also extremely important here. I have been to a lot of forums whereby stakeholders are saying women are not empowered to have access to land. It's a very big issue, this one. And of course, water management for sustainable agriculture. So what can we as nutrition people think under this program area? We can think about nutrient dense, climate smart varieties of crops, livestock, and breeds. What comes to mind here is the indigenous food systems that we are promoting. We are collaborating with the Forum for Agricultural Research in this, which is a program that we recently started, which I think will take us will take significance next year, because we have just started this collaboration. Water and production diversification, intercropping, nutrition sensitive, climate smart agricultural practices. We also have to be aware of the water quality, which has a lot to do with the environment. And when we are promoting forestry and reforestation, we also have to have a lens of being intentional about these non-forest wood products. And of course, I talked about the indigenous nutritious crops and livestock. What is important about these indigenous crops and livestock is that evidence has shown that they have less impact on the environment. So the fourth program on better lives, we have social protection for livelihoods and resilience of livelihoods to natural and man-made disasters, and of course, decent employment in the agri-food systems. As nutrition people, we have to be aware that income generation is a very important indicator of household nutrition security. Definitely, clearly. But then the household need to be, the consumer need to be aware that they need to be using their money to acquire food of high nutritional value through the advocacy. Nutrition sensitive social protection and school feeding and nutrition sensitive humanitarian food assistance. This is a new area of work that we are also looking at. So in this slide, I will, like I said, as FAO, we do a lot of work around probably a lot of topics where we mainstream nutrition. So these are some of the resources. If colleagues are interested in the presentation, you can go into all these resources that we produce. They are not the only ones. There's so many other resources, but these are just the ones that I was able to compile specifically for this session. This brings me to the end of my presentation, and I will share with you in the chat a document that has the stories across Africa of what we really do in the countries. We have compiled some stories for the power that are going on for the past 2 years. That have been happening in the countries for the past 2 years, which is the pictures and putting the human face in all the work that we do. So this comes to the end of my presentation, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank everyone for listening, and to also, in the name of FAO, to thank the organizers of this excellent forum for the opportunity to talk to you and to present our work. Thank you.